Hi everybody. So just wanted to share my own personal little experience about building a computer recently, and might have some cool tips for you guys, but anyway, some foods for thought if nothing else. What I have here is a machine that started with something I found on Craigslist. All it was the motherboard. Let me zoom in right there. It's a ASUS motherboard. That'd be this guy right here. And the ASUS motherboards are kind of known for just being great to be able to hot rod and to kind of tweak the processor voltage and things like that, to overclock them. But what happens when you start doing that is they start to run hot, and so it's basically almost like a hot rod, like a race car or anything else. And so you have to cool it. And what we have here, let me zoom in on the radiator, is a water cooling system, almost like a car radiator, with a couple of 120 millimeter fans that mount in front of it. In this case, that is this guy right here. This is the Corsair H100, the cooling system I was telling you about, and it actually has 3 controls, so you hit it 3 times. The second mode right here goes into an automatic mode, so essentially it will sense the temperature of the processor and will respond, and by increasing the fan speed. Kind of cool stuff. So anyway, this is actually in the process of building the system, and I would kind of recommend most people. As you can see in this static image I have on this let me zoom out, a Windows XP machine I got here. But this was building the machine and how I staged it. At this point, I'm loading the operating system. I used Windows 7 Pro because a Pro version will run the old legacy software. I have some old Windows Alera home site that will run on 32-bit software. So kind of the best of both worlds. When you build your own machine, that's the kind of things you want to think ahead for. But anyway, you can load the the antivirus at this point. I loaded all the patches, the fixes, all the updates, and updated all the drivers and all that good stuff. At that point, actually, once you get the thing, everything, all the machine talking to itself, all the components and stuff talking to each other, I flashed an image. So with the software that came with, what I chose was the Samsung, as you can see, the A40 EVO. It's a solid-state drive. And this guy here has no moving parts, smoking fast, really great reviews, 250 gigabyte machine right there. Not super huge by today's standards for a drive. So essentially all that guy's going to do for me then is my operating system, and most of my apps are going to live on that. And I'll show you guys later what I did for a hard drive for documents. But after I get the machine basically all up and running, with the antivirus and all the patches and everything, what I did is I flashed an image. So that Samsung came with some software to let me do all that. And in my case, what I did with the image is I stuck it on this right here is my network device, and that's a 2 terabyte device. And so I flashed the image once I got the thing up and running on my network device down there, and off I went. Also, of course, built a boot disk CD, and in the BIOS, you'll see when I boot it up, change the boot sequence to make sure that it's looking for a CD first. So in case it ever crashes, I can take that boot disk and chuck that in there, and then I can get back into what I got to do to bring back the flashed image, to bring all that other stuff back. So you got to start thinking about bailing yourself out in case something really blows up. And you don't want that to happen, but if it does, you're prepared for it. What I did is I mounted this whole crazy thing, and you can see this in the image right here. It's a clear acrylic case, and this is something that I bought probably 10 years ago and never used. As actually you can see with the fans up and running, and it's all plugged in and everything to the motherboard. But I put that back into life. Here it is, actually, right over here on the bench. And some of the nice things about this acrylic case that I really like was, one, that it's really cool. Other than that, it's I'm thinking that the acrylic is going to be really stable with the temperature. Other cases that I've had, they're going to be metal cases, and they'll expand and contract with heat. I would think a little bit more. You can see the back of this motherboard, or maybe you can't, but there's 9 screws across here that mount directly into the motherboard, and so I'm thinking that it's going to be a much more stable environment for the temperature. Also, nice thing is you can get in there and you can visually check things in case wires came unplugged, or screws have come unplugged anywhere. You want to if something, a fan isn't working right or anything, you can see what it's doing, speeds and things like that. If something burned out, you could see it on a board right here. It's just kind of cool. The other thing that I liked about it too is when I was working on it, you can see to the other side. So if I'm working on one side, it's just I can see right through to what I'm working on. And so serviceability was great. The other thing I loved about this case right here was when I get up here, you can see this really cool power supply, which also has a clear case. It is encased. Actually, it's almost like double layer acrylic essentially right there, because the power supply has a clear. I don't know if you can see the top and bottom. There you go. And then inside the clear case. But the nice thing about working on the acrylic case also is it allowed me to mount this power supply. It's essentially mounted upside down. But to do that, I had to make some modifications in the case with a rotozip right in here, and I had to make a little extra room for the switch here, and then I had to turn this thing all around and kind of redo the screws and things like that. But it's a really cool look. So that power supply is actually this guy right here. It's the Apiva Iceberg 680 watts, so plenty of power for good future upgrades. Audio, but all kinds of plugs. There you go, 6 SATA plugs. In case I ever did put a floppy in, boom, got a floppy. Speed adjuster, color switch for the color lights on the LED. Of course, you got to have them. Okay. The memory that I picked up for this bad guy is 4 sticks of 4 mega each of this Vengeance Corsair memory. This stuff is smoking fast. It's the 1866, which I don't know if you can see on the labeling right here. It's a PC 1866, which is the speed, super speedy. These babies have this really cool heat sinks on them. Of course, in my case, I matched them with the blue to go with the rest of the cool blue on the motherboard, and of course the what is that? The blue 48 car. Oh my gosh, it's like a ship in a bottle. Jimmie Johnson race car diecast in there, and anyway, so all that fun blue stuff kind of all matches there. But yeah, the last tip on that memory was if you go to actually Corsair.com, you'll get the latest and the best and the fastest memory from them at a great price. I think I paid $175 or so from them. It was cheaper than anywhere else that I could find through any of the suppliers. So kind of cool with that. Yeah, let me see, the drive that is right in here. I don't know if you can see it, but I told you about that Samsung Evo drive. That sits in this icy dock, which is this guy right here. You need a little adapter. In my case, I got this really cool chrome. I don't know if you can, you might be able to see it, kind of shiny fun chrome in there. But nice thing about that is you just set the SSD in there, and it plugs in the back, and then you plug your other plugs into the back here, and then it has fans, or I'm sorry, slots for the. For my case, I put it right behind this this case fan. So let me light it up for you. So when you fire this bad boy up, so essentially what you have here is on the box you have a regular power switch. That's a reset switch. I'm going to go into delete. See if I got into the BIOS for you. See if I hit that soon enough. Nope. Actually, you know what? We'll bring it back and I'll show you the BIOS in a second. But anyway, so you got your power switch, you got your reset switch. This is your power on LED, and then you can see this flashing right here. This is the hard drive activity, and then you got your typical headphone and microphone. These are USB 2 which I don't know if I'd really use those at this point because I have this card reader, which I've hooked up to the USB 3s, and so those are a little faster. Of course, if you go to your races and you're a Jimmie Johnson fan and you need to upload your images and things like that, or your other media, that was important to me to have that. Boom. And then with a cool mod like this, with all these fun lights doing all their fun thing, you need the LED controller, which is this guy right here. I think this set me back about 35 and about $35, something like that. But those guys are pretty cool. Those are these guys right here. You know, they're pretty much still available online. That's the card reader, and that's the LED controller. But they're neat because they match the grills. The grills match. And so, yeah, and then I have the really cool, you know, of course you need to load software and stuff like that. So this is an LG DVD CD burner. Of course, it also does Blu-ray, and the really cool thing, it also does M-Disc. There's BD, there's BDXL. These are all the new, latest and greatest media. It looks, you know, just like any other CD, but there's, you know, super high density, and they're supposed to be super long lasting. The media itself is like a ceramic surface, and it's supposed to be very long lasting media. So anyway. Then we have this guy right here. What I have is a Seagate drive, and what I did, if you remember, I got my operating system living down here, but on this drive up here, it's a Seagate, and it's a, let me pull up the card for you right here. So basically, it's this guy right here. It's a 2 terabyte Seagate. Of course, it's 6 gigabyte, so that means it's the USB 3. So both, you know, both this drive and my solid state drive, they both are going to run on that super high speed on that ASUS motherboard. So you're going to make sure that that kind of all pairs together. Look at that. They started recently just making this 4 terabyte one. When I built mine just a couple of months ago, they weren't even offering it, and that's, you know, instead of $100 now, it's like 170 if you need, you know, crazy data. But yeah, these are super nice. Recommend you look at those. In my case, I installed it into this cooler. That's this guy over here, Antec HD cooler. And so essentially what this guy is if you see inside here, there is cooling fins on this side, and of course on the other side, try to get that in the camera for you, right in here. And so what that does then is it has a temperature sensor, and as that Seagate, this guy here, that Seagate drive, which has all my docks and stuff on it, if that ever starts to get a little bit warm, in other words, when this thing toggles down to this temperature right here, 68, 70 degrees, that's telling me the temperature of this drive. And if it starts to get too warm, it actually will activate a couple of small fans inside of here, and will start to cool that drive off. So that does that all automatically. When it toggles up to that upper number, which is typically in the upper 70s or so, there it is, 74, 76. What that does is it gives me another probe, and it says you can put it in the case or do whatever you want. But what I did is I took, I don't know if you can see what I took the probe, and I put it inside. I went through a slot in the power supply, and I have the thing actually inside the power supply box here between the two fans in the power supply, and so I'm monitoring that. So if I start to use a lot of power and I notice that that temperature goes up, I can simply reach around the back and crank up the volume, if you would, crank up the two fans on the power supply to keep that guy cool. So that's how I'm kind of keeping that at bay. I don't know if I told you the CPU is right in here, and that's, you know, that's cooled by the Corsair fan system, water cooled system. I had to cut a couple of holes right here in the case and install these custom grills. And as you can see, it's kind of sandwiched between the acrylic case. And so the radiator and the water part is here with the cooling fins and stuff in it, and these are the 220 millimeter fans that, again, they power up and power down depending on the load. Yeah. So actually, the last cooling thing is we have these these cooling fan controllers right here, and so basically what I can do here is, let's see, this first one is for the front fan. You can see this guy power up and toggle down. The second one is for the side over here, and you can see him toggle up and toggle down. This third one is for the back case, and you can see him fire up and fire down when I run this guy right here. This fourth one, what I'll probably do is eventually I'm going to get a dedicated graphics card, and I actually have room for it still above the super fast Jimmie Johnson race car down there. And so, but that will draw more power, and so I'll be able to monitor it. I'll be able to increase the fan on the power supply if I need to by just cranking that up. Yeah, and I'll be in pretty good shape. I do have one slot left available, and if I do decide to get crazy and try to import some of my old floppy disk stuff, I may put a floppy in there, because I do have the floppy power from my cool power supply, and I'd have to put an IDE controller in. That's the only thing that this board doesn't have. So I'd have to put that in one of the slots down there. But all in all, pretty cranking system. Pretty happy. I guess if any changes that would come up other than the going with because notice it has an onboard graphics card, and so I'm just using the HDMI to my monitor over here right now. But eventually I might put a like a Lucid Logic, which would switch between like the embedded graphics and a discrete GPU, which would be pretty cool. Give me a little increased performance via the, by the way of the Sandy Bridge. And I might think about upgrading, of course, the processor to like an i7 at some point too. But anyway, all in all, $650, $700. Not a bad little deal. What I did here on the case is I actually cut it with a jigsaw in a crazy way like this. What that allowed me to do is take this top piece off right here. If I have to get in there and work on stuff or do whatever, just simply right out of the way. Since my water cooling system is mounted on this lower part, what I can still do is I can remove this screw and the screws along the bottom down here, and the screw that I put in here, and I can still leave all of everything hooked up, and I just swing this thing out of the way, and I can get right in there and do all the work that I need to do. So really like the setup. It's a cool look. It's got everything I need, and there you go. Clear acrylic case by PJ. Be creative out there, you guys.